boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And the Star Wars brand has been in a pretty bad spot, essentially, since Disney bought it. Now, many of us had hope out there when Disney came in, because this was the height of the MCU out there. We were getting incredible movies that were making absolutely insane box offices, and we thought we were going to get the exact same thing from Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm. Well, that didn't turn out very well, boys and girls, and as we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Rise of Palpatine and Solo lost money. Boys and girls, it's been a disastrous dumpster fire ever since then, since for the House of Mouse. Well, part of that brand stuff that goes on out there, of course, is licensing deals. And one of those companies out there that licensed the Star Wars brand was none other than Ubisoft. If you'll remember, boys and girls, Ubisoft was the home of the legendary Assassin's Creed franchise and so many other fun things out there. Well, as many of us suspected out there, Star Wars was a massive flop. Outlaws failed miserably. It was a Han Solo story, specifically set in a time period where he was frozen in carbonite. Also, they could replace him with an uglified version of a very beautiful actress inside of a game that was broken and buggy mess from the get-go. And that was one of the final nails in the ultimate coffin of Ubisoft essentially getting bought out and sold off to another company and no longer existing in the way it once did. And well, now more consequences of those actions are finally coming, because massive layoffs have now been initiated inside of the studio that created Star Wars Outlaws. And at the end of the day, boys and girls, if you are actually good at your job inside of the video game industry, you will find work for other ways out there. I mean, the video game industry is absolutely massive. So it sucks for all of those good people inside of this company that just wanted to do their job and create a good game. But for the rest of all of you corporate shills out there, all of you people that decided to turn this into nothing more than spirit of the age nonsense garbage, well, guess what? These layoffs are exactly what you deserve, boys and girls. Because as you can see over from the headline at thatparkplace.com, Ubisoft hit Star Wars Outlaws studio with massive entertainment with layoffs. Yes, boys and girls, and any of you have around that been in a corporate restructuring situation in any way, shape, or form, you know voluntary layoffs aren't exactly voluntary, boys and girls. So once again, the decisions that creatives and directors and management made inside of Ubisoft is now costing hundreds of jobs and is going to cause a studio that once existed and produced good things out there to be nothing more than a shell of itself that's going to chase that apparently almighty mobile dollar. Yes, boys and girls. So we're going to get into this article, get into all of the juicy details, and let you know exactly what is going on, because Fandom Pulse, of course, shows that this has also got a history of Ubisoft closing its studios, and it gives a nice little record of a bunch of the ones that they've already shut down this year. Because guess what? This is a company that chased the modern audience for years, and just like every other major corporation out there that has done this, it has cost them massive amounts, and unfortunately, probably a lot of good people are going to end up losing their jobs in the process. So we're going to get into all of that, but before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,300. We're sailing our way towards 24 on our journey to 100,000, and I think we're sitting at like 23, 38, 39, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Let me know what you think about all this. Does it surprise you at all? Did you expect this, just like a lot of other people did out there? Seeing Star Wars Outlaws being the massive flop that it absolutely was. Did you think the game was actually good? Did you enjoy it out there? Did the broken and buggy stuff end up getting worked out and fixed for you? Overall, let us know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below, because unlike inside of Ubisoft's creative team, all opinions are welcome down here. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out the links. All right, boys and girls, we're going to start over here with thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Pamela Fitzgerald. Ubisoft has announced yet another round of layoffs, this time targeting one of its most infamous internal studios, Massive Entertainment, the developer behind Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Now, shout out to Drunk 3PO. Jay said he actually really enjoyed the Avatar game. He played it several times on live streams and stuff like that. It just wasn't something that I was really all that interested in, so I don't know. If you guys have played that game, let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below as well. The move comes just months after both Disney-owned high-profile titles underperformed critically and commercially, leaving questions about Ubisoft's long-term strategy and its ability to sustain large-scale AAA development. Honestly, I don't think it was going to be one of those things. I don't think anybody ever expected like the Avatar game to do like gangbusters out there. But at the end of the day, the other one, Star Wars Outlaws, it's a Star Wars game, right? If done well, they always sell. Okay. Like even Jedi Survivor, like I absolutely loved. I even heard Jedi Fallen Order was still pretty good. Those both absolutely sold really well, right? But this one, it did not. In a corporate statement released this week, Massive confirms it has realigned our teams and resources to strengthen our roadmap while launching what it calls a voluntary career transition program. The phrasing immediately raised eyebrows across the gaming industry, with many seeing it as corporate doublespeak for layoffs at Massive Entertainment. And it's going to be. And here's the whole statement right here. This is directly from their Twitter account. This is from their social media. Massive Entertainment, an Ubisoft studio. As part of our ongoing evolution and long-term planning, we have recently realigned our teams and resources to strengthen our roadmap, ensuring our continued focus on the Division franchise and the technologies including Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect that power our games. To support this transition responsibly, let me translate that for you for corporate speak. We're broke and we can't afford to keep you here anymore because the last few games that we put out have been massive flops. We literally ruined a Star Wars game. It's so sad. It's so sad. To support this transition responsibly, we introduced a voluntary career transition program. Yeah, I'm an aircraft mechanic by trade. I watched this happen at one of my job sites out there in the past. It was the electricians actually. We had a voluntary reassignment for the electricians, and literally they told them, "Look, you're either going to be laid off or you're going to have to transfer to another company site." Those were your two options. Trust me, the voluntary just means if you don't leave now, we're going to fire you later. So you might as well get out while the getting's good. To support this transition responsibly, they offer a voluntary career transition program, giving eligible team members the opportunity to take their next career step on their own terms. Get out before we fire you. Supported by a comprehensive package that includes financial and career assistance. Look, we're even offering you money. Just leave. The studio has collapsed. We failed miserably. Get out while the getting's good. You know what? And I mean, you got to at least appreciate that, right? At least they're trying to give you something. Massive Entertainment remains fully committed to our roadmap to creating great experiences for players and the world, including the Division 2, the Division 2 Survivors, Division Resurgence, and Division 3. These projects continue with strength, focus, and ambition. We look forward to sharing more in the future. I bet you do. This is just absolutely hilarious. And this is what happens. You know, the old saying, go woke, go broke exists for a reason. I know, I don't like the word woke. Why do I keep using the word woke? Because everybody knows what it means. Well, what's your definition of woke? Putting your agenda above storytelling. And guess what? Star Wars Outlaws lies right within that, boys and girls. While Ubisoft frames this as a choice, developers familiar with these voluntary programs know the reality. Being eligible to leave is another way of saying you're no longer wanted. It's a chance to leave with a cushy severance package or stick around and be fired later. The restructuring follows an earlier announcement from Ubisoft Red Lynx. The Finland-based studio, best known for the Trials series, Red Lynx was reportedly lay off up to 60 developers as part of a shift towards small screens, signaling a renewed focus on mobile and handheld platforms. That's right, boys and girls. The studio that once launched a AAA Star Wars game on every major platform out there, even had an exclusivity deal with some of the other ones until it switched over to Steam and everywhere else, right? That studio, yeah, they're going to make devices for your phone now. That's what they've been reduced to. Mobile games. You guys played any mobile games lately? Like, given there's still a lot of work and development that goes into them, no shade on the guys that develop mobile games. I have some fun with quite a lot of those. I especially have over the years. But at the end of the day, it's not even close to the 5 years of development or more, sometimes slightly less, that they put into these big AAA games, right? And just like anybody else, just like a lot of the people that I've known that have worked in game development out there, right? As soon as the big launch of the project is over, you're going to get laid off again anyway, right? Because they only need some of you around for so long. And after that, it's just maintenance, right? So instead of getting 5 years of work, you're going to get what now? 6 months, a year? How long does it take to develop a mobile game? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you it's a whole lot less time than the 5 years y'all wasted on Star Wars Outlaws. And guess what? Now you're out of a job. And at the end of the day, it's exactly what you deserve. Massive Entertainment was once regarded as one of Ubisoft's crown jewels. The Malmo, Sweden-based studio developed the acclaimed Division franchise and built Ubisoft's powerful Snowdrop engine, which remains one of the company's most technically impressive achievements, but recent years have been rough. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora was met with a lukewarm reception, while Star Wars Outlaws was a massive flop, failing to make cultural or commercial impact Ubisoft had hoped for. Despite dazzling visuals, both titles struggled to capture audiences in a crowd and increasingly risk-averse gaming market. Now, shout out to that Park Place for being kinder than they should be in a lot of cases, because there was no dazzling visuals in Star Wars Outlaws whatsoever. If you're talking about the Pandora game, sure. Star Wars Outlaws gave you really ugly characters and a broken and glitchy game. The visuals looked completely unpolished. Even the preview that IGN trying to simp for this game and trying to simp for Ubisoft out there, right, trying to shill for them. We're watching this live and it's broken and buggy and you see screw ups and characters doing things they're not supposed to. Like, there was nothing about that game that looked good at all. And there was even pushback from the fans, from gamers everywhere, to hold off on this game. Put it back on the shelf for a little while. Work on it a little bit longer. But what did Ubisoft do? No. In their hubris, in their arrogance, and in their pride, they pushed forward anyway, completely and totally ignoring what every single gamer had asked them to do. Because guess what? Even with an ugly protagonist, would the game have still been good? Could it have still been fun? Absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's the Star Wars universe, for crying out loud. It's not rocket science, despite what all of these idiots out there think. But they still couldn't pull that off. And then, instead of waiting a little while and getting some backlash for a delay, instead they had one of the biggest, massive, disastrous dumpster fires of the year for a broken and buggy mess of a game that for some players, when the latest patch came out, completely and totally erased all of their gameplay that they'd put in by buying the game on early access. This is Ubisoft. This is the company that got in bed with the modern audience nonsense and couldn't even produce a game that wasn't a broken and buggy mess. Meanwhile, Ubisoft's Red Linux own restructuring shed lights on the company's shifting priorities. The studio confirmed plans to become specialized in small screens, which insiders interpret as a pivot towards mobile gaming, handheld systems like upcoming Nintendo Switch 2, and PC handheld devices. If implemented, the proposed changes would refocus Ubisoft Red Linux from a multi-platform setup to a studio specialized in small screens. This would enable it to position itself for sustainable success and optimize its resources to best leverage the studio's unique expertise. We had a bunch of dead weight around this studio that was responsible for a massive flop that cost our company at minimum $500 million in losses. So guess what? All of you folks out there are fired, and we're going to make mobile games, because those we can actually easily make a profit out of, because so many folks out there are addicted to microtransactions. A game that is based on people expecting to pay $80, $90, or $130 for, they expect a little more out of. And Star Wars Outlaws wasn't that. Good luck on your mobile gaming. Good luck on your mobile gaming. But it's not just this one. It's not just this one out there. These announcements have come amid massive changes at Ubisoft. The company recently spun off its Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six franchise into subsidiaries called Vantage Studios. They literally split it off into something else. Last December, the company announced it was shutting down the looter shooter X-Defiant. It also shut down its San Francisco and Osaka production studios and laid off people in Sydney. In January 2025, the company shut down its Leamington studio and laid off employees at Dusseldorf, Stockholm, and Reflection Studios. Also layoffs early of 2024. There was layoffs in Cary, North Carolina at Red Storm, as well as in San Francisco before it was shut down. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, there is beyond a shadow of a doubt an argument to be made that between Star Wars Outlaws and I think there's an argument to be made that just Star Wars Outlaws, but that Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws bankrupted Ubisoft. You could easily argue Star Wars Outlaws did it beforehand, even with Disney helping pay for that stuff, because they still spent $500 million on that game. Just based on the salaries alone over 5 years, you come close to numbers like that. Okay, not to mention everything else in development costs that go along with all that. You know, the free coffee inside the break room ain't cheap after all. At the end of the day, these games broke this company. Assassin's Creed Shadows, a game that we all knew was going to be a flop right from the get-go, based on absolute false history out of Japan about a guy who was not some famous war hero, some famous samurai. He was just a guy that, if anything, was kind of an oddity that was basically kept around as like a court pet. Okay? So instead of giving us a Japanese game about an actual Japanese hero, or even based with an absolute character that, I don't know, looks Japanese, instead they decided to push an agenda. Instead, they decided to give us a Star Wars Outlaws game that, instead of giving us Han Solo, the protagonist you would want in a game that's supposed to be about smuggling in the shady underworld of Star Wars, instead you decided to take a gorgeous actress and make her as ugly as possible and give her the dumbest haircut on the planet. And then on top of that, because you thought all of your virtue signaling and all of your other nonsense was just going to cause people to flock to you because you deserved it, right? You were owed all of these people loving your abomination of a game. How'd that work out for you? Turns out you actually do have to make your customers happy and actually give them a good, solid product, huh? I know. Strange concept. And it's almost like when you prioritize your agenda and your lies over a even working game or a good story, you fail miserably. Yeah. Go woke, go broke. Ubisoft isn't alone in facing this reckoning. 2025 has been brutal across the gaming industry, with layoffs striking nearly every major publisher. And guess what else? Every major publisher is chased. The modern audience. You seeing a pattern here, boys and girls? I know I'm probably preaching to the choir at this point, this far into the video. But the language surrounding this latest move, masking massive entertainment's layoffs as career transitions, highlights just how far the corporate spin machine has gone to protect optics at the expense of transparency. For hundreds of developers who brought Star Wars Outlaws and Front Doors of Pandora to life, to voluntary doesn't make it hurt less. And for fans, it raises another question. If Ubisoft's Jewel Studio is being cut down to size, what does that say about the future of its other teams and the games they make? Well, as we already went over with the Fandom Pulse article, Ubisoft's screwed. They've already done massive layoffs. These games have broken these companies. So for all of you people out there who are always like, no, dude, that's forever. They'll never be able to stop. BlackRock will fund them forever. How's that going? How's all your negative Nancy black pill bullshit working out for you? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm hopeful for the future. I'm more excited than I've probably ever been in a long time. We had a survey come out saying that Gen Z, the new ones coming up, yeah, guess what? They don't want all this BS sex in their television shows out there. They're sick and tired of it. They want actual relationships and friendships and stuff like that to go on, not just a couple hooking up and banging all the time. Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, two spirit of the age, AAA, $500 million disastrous dumpster fires have broken Ubisoft. They have destroyed that company and made it nothing more than a shadow of what it once was. And it's funny that Assassin's Creed Shadows did it. But at the end of the day, they did it to themselves. Just like every other AAA gaming studio, just like every other major corporation, just like every other government institution out there. The culture has decided that they don't want your spirit of the age nonsense. Lucifer, Satan, the devil himself, guess what? Our culture, our Western culture, rejects you. And we still reject you. And Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft Star Wars Outlaws and these massive layoffs and the destruction of this company are just the latest example that you are losing. And you will continue to lose because as God has promised us, always there will be a remnant left. And guess what? That remnant is far more powerful than you ever thought. And the funniest part about this is you hired a bunch of fucking morons. But hey, that's all you could get to believe your lies. You couldn't get any common sense, actual talented folks to do it. You needed a bunch of numbskulls. You needed a bunch of brown shirts that would go right along with it. And just like during WW2, these brown shirts have now been sacrificed once again. Because as Stalin always said, they were nothing more than useful idiots to begin with. So we all should pray for them to find guidance and wisdom and that the light of the Lord shine down upon them. Because for years over at Ubisoft, they have danced with the devil in the pale moonlight. They believed all of his lies and they chased that modern audience just like he told them to. And now they've gotten burned. Rest in peace, Ubisoft. After all, you did it to yourself. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.